Today, we're discussing our favorite levels in video games. From iconic levels in Sonic to more recent hits like Astro Bot, what levels do we look back on most fondly? Let's discuss this and more on the Late Night Gamer podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 63 of the Late Night Gamer podcast, your place for late night laughs, hot takes, and video game reviews. I'm your host, Welchy, and joining me tonight are Mr. Pop Figures himself, Andy.
Hello, guys. Pleasure to be back. Very excited for this topic, actually, because it's a good one to dive into. Some nostalgia there. Well, maybe not with my choices, but I'm hoping you guys bring back some memories as well.
And also joining us is our resident horror expert, Stephen.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome. I'm about to say welcome. It's nice to be back once more, and looking forward to delving into some iconic levels. This is probably one of the hardest topics to do. To get it down to 3, I've spent all day, and I'm still not completely convinced on my number 3, but we'll ride it anyway. Also, which I was expecting a level pun, but did you not have one
Our
in the bank this
creativity
week?
is dropping because we're doing 4 podcasts a week. I've got to think of 4 different ones a week. I did one for the Sinister review, which you'll hear tomorrow. As the time of
Excited.
recording this, if you're listening to this now, it's already out. But yeah, I'm struggling with my puns at the minute, but they'll come back when I get into a flow.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get into discussing our favorite video game levels, let's get into a quick bit of housekeeping. Of course, this is the Late Night Gamer podcast. We drop 2 episodes every week, typically on a Wednesday and a Friday. If you enjoy the podcast, please do consider following or subscribing on your favorite podcast service, and also leave a rating as that helps support the podcast. You can follow us on all major socials with the handle at the LNG Pod, and you can join our Discord using the link in the podcast description if you want to chat movies, TV shows, and video games. If you're listening or watching on Spotify, you can now leave comments on there too. And of course, our podcast, said that funny, is available on YouTube if that is your platform of choice. Be sure to also check out the LNG Pod on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, our content schedule for the week beginning 29th of September looks like this. Tuesday, you had, as mentioned previously, our Sinister review on the Late Night Movie podcast. Wednesday, you got this episode, our favourite video game levels on the Gamer podcast. Thursday, we're back to the Late Night Movie podcast with our Alien Earth review, and also we review I Swear and Strangers Chapter 2, so look forward to that one. And then on Friday, we wrap up with another gaming podcast where we discuss EAFC on with a particular focus on the Switch 2 to see if it is worth your money. In terms of Twitch streams, I will be streaming Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Apologies, I've not been streaming for the last 2 weeks. A lot of shit's been happening. But this week, Ghost of Yote releases on Thursday. I will be streaming that Thursday, Friday, and Sunday this week. And I guess we can tell you that we're going to be doing an early review of that game next week on the gaming podcast. So very exciting times. And finally, we are sponsored by Dubby Energy Drinks. If you want an energy drink for your long gaming sessions, then you can get a 10% discount on Dubby products by using the code TheLNGPod at checkout. That's TheLNGPod for a 10% discount. Okay, let's get straight into it. Our favorite video game levels. As we've done in our recent episode of our favorite boss battles, we are each bringing 3 levels to discuss. And if we have time at the end, we'll chuck out some honorable mentions. Let's start this week with Andy. What is one of your favorite video game levels ever?
Okay, so I just want to make it clear, these aren't, essentially there might be my top 3 levels, but there's a lot of, obviously, games and favorite levels that you have. There's probably a lot of older games that I've completely missed out or can't remember just because I haven't played them recently. I'm going to start with my least favorite out of these 3 that I've written down. And it's from a game that you've played, Welchy, but Stephen, you haven't played it. And there's a particular reason for that. It's because it's Hogwarts Legacy.
Ah, interesting.
Okay.
I thought
Do
he
you,
was going to
do
say
you
Lost
have
Records
any
on
idea?
Andy, and I was going to be fucking
Oh,
livid.
okay. Definitely not. But do you have any idea what quest it's going to be, Welchy? Before I say it.
To do with the guy from Slytherin, when you learn a certain spell where certain people can die from it?
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually a side quest, so it's not part of the main story, but it's called Minding Your Own Business.
Oh, when you go
And
into the Downstairs in the
into the
shop.
shop.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So obviously my main reason for choosing this is throughout Hogwarts Legacy, you are sort of in a more friendly sort of environment. It's fun. You're at Hogwarts, you're learning spells, you're making friends, you're doing some cool story missions and quests. And then you come along this side quest where you basically go into a haunted shop. You get tricked into going opening this chest, I think it is, and
Aren't
then you
you
go down.
aren't you buying the shop, or like it's going to be your shop or something like that?
You get the I can't remember if they offer you that option before
Or
the
maybe
start
after,
of
I
the
might be
quest,
a
or
spoiler.
but I do know you get the chance to buy it at the end, but
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something
right.
that's in the dialogue at the start. It might be, but yeah, you're talking to this lady called Cassandra, um, and I can't remember the sort of inner details, but you end up sort of going opening this chest. There's a massive ladder down to this basement. You go down it, all of a sudden the ladders disappear, and you find yourself in almost a horror mission. And for it sort of just summed up the films for me, because they sort of go from family friendly and just get darker and darker throughout as the films go on. So this felt like what would be in one of the end films, where it was just all of a sudden went from that Hogsmeade fun place to be in with all the shops, the candy shops, the magic tricks, the pranks, and all of a sudden you're down in this basement and there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff disappearing. It's dark, the lights are flashing on and off. You got bloody mannequins, and you know how scary they can be, especially in sort of a horror environment. Sort of reminding me of Call of Duty, with Black Ops 6 recent level. And yeah, it was just gritty, dark. The whole atmosphere of this level was really cool. And although it sort of felt out of sync with the up to that point with the rest of the game, it was really fun because it was something different that they chucked in. And obviously, it's a side quest, so you don't essentially have to do it. But I feel like a lot of people would just stumble across this quest anyway. I know I didn't purposely go looking for it; I sort of came across it, and it's just fun. You're fighting. I can't remember his name. It's like it's a magical being. It's not Ghost. Because I originally thought it was Ghost, but you're fighting this whatever this is down in the basement, trying to defeat it to basically escape. You're doing cool puzzles, you're using the spells to unlock doorways. Again, you're fighting the mannequins and stuff, and it's just a really fun sort of level to work your way through, and sort of solve the puzzles. Obviously this whatever his name is, he's like a prankster. He likes playing games with you, so in his eyes it's all like fun and games. Whereas when you're playing through the level, it's all dark and sort of, to me, like almost a horror level. So I was sort of working my way through, sort of on the edge of my seat a little bit. But yeah, when you finally then fight this guy's monster at the end, it's like made of like furniture. He's always
Yeah.
like chucking things at you throughout the level. So he's throwing chairs at you, sofas, whatever it is, clocks. And then at the end, he builds like this monster out of all this furniture, which you fight, which I thought was really fun. And obviously, when you defeat that, you then escape this basement, shop floor, whatever. And then you obviously confront I'm going to say witch. I think she's a witch. You confront her at the end, and then you get the option to buy the shop. So it's just a really cool level. I definitely recommend, like for a side quest. Most of the games I usually play, I just go straight through the story. Don't usually touch the side quest, but this is one that I definitely recommend people to play because it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one I did because I platinumed it, so I had no choice but to do it. But I agree, even
Yeah,
if you're not the one to complete everything in a game, it's definitely one of the levels, the most memorable levels in Hogwarts Legacy, and a lot of them can sometimes feel a bit samey.
yeah,
But that
yeah,
one really
definitely.
does stick out, and that's a good pick. Um, and you, by saying that level, made me think of a different level from a different game, um, which
Okay.
I will maybe talk about as an honorable mention if we do have time. But Stephen, what is your
Hmm.
first level you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I'll do it pretty much in the same way that Andy has done it, because I think that's actually quite a good way of going from like my least favorite in my like top three, and then my second, and then my all-time favorite one. As mentioned earlier, this was painfully difficult to get down to a top three. There's lots of honorable mentions. If we get time, it'd be good to shout a couple of ones out. But I have gone with a horror game, which was really
You're
difficult
the
because
resident
I
horror
had
expert. We're
probably,
going to have to.
yeah, I did. I always think, as the resident horror expert, let's bring one horror game to the table. But the question I had all day was, which one do I pick? And I've gone for one maybe that you might not necessarily think of, but it's one that definitely needs to be mentioned. I'm going to Dead Space, but I'm going to
Interesting, because I
Dead
did think of
Space.
Dead Space, but I didn't pick anything of
Yeah,
it.
but I'm actually going to Dead Space 2, so not the
Okay.
original and not the third. And I'm going to chapter 13, which is called Government Sector. Now, the reason why I've selected this as a level is that there are many great moments in Dead Space 2 and the first Dead Space, not so much Dead Space 3, but that's for a different conversation for a different day. I think what I loved about Dead Space 2 is that they took the mechanics of the original Dead Space and everything felt a bit more sort of intense. They added much more sort of disturbing imagery. And I felt that Dead Space 2 was much more personal towards Isaac than number one. I don't know if you share that, Welchy, but you're even more connected with Isaac than you were in the original.
Yeah, from
And in
memory.
terms of the mechanics, that some of the things that they do that kind of put you in a situation where you've got to walk into essentially a room that you know is a massive trap and that you're going to be greeted with something horrendous. But the game kind of puts you to that state that it's scaring you as you're doing that. I thought some of the effects and the way of how it all looked. But chapter 13 really does that well. You're on towards the last stage of the game. Things are starting to get intense. I remember that there's a moment in a room that lights up. It then goes completely black. A red siren flashes, and every time it flashes, a necromorph comes out in all different directions. It's like you've got one room, then you go out, and then you go into another room. And I just remembered being like actually scared, like absolutely petrified. When Dead Space uses lights, it's almost like going down a road which is light, turning the corner and going through a really dark alleyway. It puts you on edge, and the game really utilizes that. And there were certain moments in chapter 13 that did that really well. But you'll probably sit there thinking, well, that just sounds a lot like Dead Space 2 throughout its start to its end. But then it leads us to what I can only describe as the eye needle scene, which
Yeah.
to this day, I don't think I'll ever forget what the eye needle greeted me with. And I think it's one of those moments where the game purposely tells you how to do it incorrectly to then be greeted by what actually happens. And like, it's difficult. I don't want to give anything away because you might one day play it, Andy. But like, I think what you would testify that hearing it now, I can see it vividly, and it is probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in a video game. Like, I actually think it tops. There were some really horrible moments in like Outlast and the Resident Evil games, but I think that eye needle scene is really high up there. I can't think of any other moment that is as graphic and as like nerve inducing. And when it happened the first time, I was then so terrified
Yeah.
to not make that same mistake again that I made sure that I got it absolutely pin perfect. I think it also plays the idea of like anything affecting your eyes and just like the way of how it's executed. I mean, it's a genius moment in the game, but that at the end of chapter 13, once I got to the end of that and moved on to the penultimate chapter, I was like, thank God for that. But I think it deserves to be in this conversation because it felt to me like that was the chapter that just cemented it as this isn't just a standard sequel. This is like one of the great horror sequels that have done, and there's been a lot that haven't, or they've tried to do what Dead Space did and failed miserably. So I thought it should be there. But again, I was kind of leaning more towards like a Resident Evil, but we spoke about that so regularly. I was like, I'm just going to be recycling the same thing if I mention the sequence from Resident Evil Village, but it's on par with that in terms of its horror quality.
Yeah, no, good choice. Funny you mentioned that because me and Andy were talking just before, and he said when I was thinking about my levels, he said, "Oh, what about Resident Evil?" And I was like, "Yeah." We was talking about Resident Evil 7, which I said I can't really
Yeah.
split that into levels as much, which is a topic on its own. But
Mm,
Village, I could have picked that one, the second
yeah.
part, let's say, but I
Yeah.
haven't picked that. My first level is a little game called Sifu.
Okay. Yeah, we
I
know you love that game.
Any chance I
Yeah.
get to rave about this game, I will do it. And raving is important here because this level is called the Club. So
Hey.
it is based in a nightclub. You go in. The first person there is a guy who said basically I can't remember exactly what he's saying now, but he's basically saying you're not allowed in, and obviously you beat the shit out of him and go into this club, and then as soon as you go in, music's pumping, the lights are like it's like a nightclub, and then all these people come rushing at you. You've got to fight them all on your own. Fucking unbelievable. And it's like that the whole way through. You go into all these different rooms, all these different parts of the club. Different people meet you, like mini bosses. Um, for me, the reason why this one goes above my second favorite level in this game, which is the museum, is because of the music and the lights. It really feels like a nightclub. It really gets you into the mood. And the boss battle at the end of this level was the boss battle I struggled with the most in the game. But it's also the moment that when I finally beat that boss, that's when I was like, oh, I'm all right at this now. Like I can beat. Well, when I beat him, I was like, I know I can beat Sifu. There's a point when I was doing
Yeah.
that second boss. He's the second boss in the game, so it's the second level in the game, where I was like, I might have to give up. Like I might have to just stop because he is beating my ass every time. Um, and I finally beat him, and it was almost like that level, as cool as it was, and as good as it looked and good as it sounded. It was also the level to really make you learn how to play the game. And if you can get past that bit, yes, the boss battle in Museum is really tough, and the boss battle and the last boss battle was extremely tough. But you take your learnings from that second level, and you can do it.
Mm.
It's fantastic. I recommend. I've recommended playing this game so many times on this podcast, but what I cannot explain is how good the level design is. Like, it's just so good in terms of the music, in terms of the presentation, particularly of this level, but every level in this game. It's phenomenal. And while the story might not be the best or the one you're going to remember forever, obviously you saw this actually in the TV show,
Secret level.
Secret Level, and from memory that
Yeah.
was the club's level.
Yes,
So
yeah. Now that you mention that, that rings a
yeah, so
bell.
you have kind of seen
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
Secret
Yeah.
Level,
Yeah.
but in game format it's even better because you've got your headphones on, you're playing it, you're almost sometimes punching to the beat, and it's just so
Yeah.
Yeah.
unbelievably
I,
satisfying.
the way you've explained it, I can imagine it being a fun episode. It sort of reminds me of John Wick, the way that you're saying it. I can just imagine you like controlling John Wick going and beating everyone up with like music going and stuff, like a proper
Yeah,
action scene from a movie.
and it's
Yeah, it
it's
is. It's on my list to play at some point for sure.
it's one of those, not just this level in the whole game, but it's one of those things where you can just pick up things and then hit people with it. So there's a bottle on the side, you can hit
Yeah.
it or throw
Yeah,
it at someone who's running at you, and then they drop their weapon, you pick that up and hit them with it. It's just so fluid,
It,
and then with the music and the presentation as well, it's just unbelievable.
I mean, this is slightly different, but sort of there's similarities in like, which would be another honorable mention, the Hitman nightclub sequence, which
Yes,
although you can't just pick anything up and sort of hit people with it, you are sort of bopping to the beat, and then it gives you that moment where you can just literally just shoot everybody at the
yeah,
dance floor in a weird. Obviously, you fail by doing that, but you know you're bopping to the beat, and it's just bringing you in. And when you were discussing Sifu, I was like, I get how that's felt because when I was playing Hitman 3, that's exactly the sort of feeling that I got out of it.
yeah.
So if it's utilised well, it can be really effective.
Hitman is a game I considered for this because they're very distinct levels. Um,
Mm,
and I did think of the club. The big difference with this is that obviously Hitman, you're trying to sneak around and be stealthy with it most
yes.
of the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
when you're playing it properly, I guess. And this is like you walk in, everyone's running at you, everyone's there to kill you.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Um, but it's
I think
super, super satisfying.
what you said earlier, like a John Wick
Yeah,
Tarantino sort of action sequence where you've
yeah.
got like 90 people running at you and you're just taking out people left, right, and centre, which if a video game can do, it's always a real fun time doing that.
it's one of those games where the trailer showed that, and I was like, okay, but can it actually feel like that?
Yeah.
And it fucking does. I cannot rave about this game enough. But anyway, just don't let me gushing about this game. Andy, what is the second level you want to talk about?
Okay, so my second level is from a game that neither of you have played at the moment. It's a game that I've spoken about before and recommend for both of you to play at some point. And it's Life is
Yeah,
Strange. So the first Life is Strange game. It's episode 3 called Chaos Theory. And I won't go into too much detail about the actual episode itself because I want you to sort of
mm,
experience it when you play it. But the way that they do this level, it's just so impactful. It's obviously with Life is Strange, you have a character who can you sort of rewind time. You can sort of rewind time back a certain amount, and then sort of change your decisions basically. And then obviously you have the butterfly effects. But in this particular episode, it allows you to, and I can't remember exactly how, but it allows you to rewind time back to like a certain year when something in particular happened, and you then have the option to change what happened. Obviously, I don't want to say what it is because that's sort of the main a sort of main spoiler for it. But you sort of then have a choice in terms of you can change what happened, and then but then you see the consequences of obviously trying to change it for the good, and you think you're doing something good, but then you see the consequences of like the butterfly effect of changing that something else happens, and then it leaves you with a decision to make at the end in terms of what you want to do. I'm pretty sure, pretty sure it asks you whether you want to keep sort of the new
original,
sort of
or yeah.
outcome. Yeah, I don't know if you chose like the other one, whether it will just force you to go down that particular route anyway. Because I don't know how much that would change the game going forward. Um, but yeah, I think I chose the choice that if it was going to force you to go down that route, it'd be that route anyway. But it's just so like it's such an emotional level. It's one of the most emotional levels I've ever played in a video game, and the fact that it gives you those choices to make it makes it even harder because you're sitting there thinking, "Shit, do I choose that or like what do I choose?" Like it's such a tough choice. And if you was in that situation in real life, having to make that choice, it'd be an impossible decision for you to make. But it's just so clever how they do it, and it's a must play like game for anyone. Like at least play Life is Strange 1. If you don't play any of the other ones, obviously don't go off mine or Welch's opinion of playing Lost Records when it comes to the Life is Strange games, because the first one's definitely on a completely different level to the Lost Records. It's just so emotional. The whole story, like every episode, is quite emotional and a powerful sort of message. But 3 just takes it to a whole new level with the characters that you play as, or the characters that are involved in the game. And without, I can't really say too much more without ruining the sort of the plot lines, but
Yeah.
you just have to play it to experience just how good it is.
Right.
Go on, Stephen.
No, I was about to say that I really like that Life is Strange being brought to the table, and in January, when I always pick a specific game to kickstart the year, I will be playing all of the Life is Strange games now that they brought out that complete collection. So I know, but I'm already going into it knowing that this is going to pack one hell of an emotional punch. There's been a specific reason for me why I've not like played this yet. Not that I feel like I'm ready now, but if I don't play it soon, I probably won't ever get a chance to like get around to it. So everyone that I've ever spoken to about it just gives it full of high praise. So I'm glad that it's mentioned in our list of best levels.
It's the music as well throughout this game. Like as soon as you turn on the menu, like the music just hits you, and they use like sound and music really well in those sort of emotional scenes that you have throughout the game. And yeah, once you've listened, I think I chose one of the songs for our Spotify playlist.
I think
as the song called From Sid. But yeah, the music just fits this game so well, and as soon as I hear that song or music anywhere, I know straight away it's Life is Strange. But yeah, it's a really good level.
It's fascinating how they could make a level so impactful and memorable for you, one of your favorites, and then they made Lost Records. It blows my mind.
I'm still playing Lost Records, even though I'm just going into it with the idea that it's not going to be a good time from what you both told me.
I'm dreading the day to make a sequel because we'll probably have to play it. But Stephen, what is your second game you want to talk about, or level, I should say?
Okay, so I feel like if you were to guess one game that I have to have in my top 3, it isn't my number 1 because number 1 is a very special level and has got a real place in my heart. But I am going to 2024, and it's a little game called Astro Bot.
Astro Bot, yeah.
And I had to include Astro Bot in my top 3. I mean, Astro Bot in of itself has got probably at least 10 levels that you could put into a top 3, and I couldn't tell you which one would be number 1. There are so many. I'm not going to say Astro Bot as an honorable mention, but like, you know, the Great Master Challenge, the introduction to Astro Bot, because it has so many different mechanics and there's so many different levels, it sort of is impossible to pick one. I have picked one, and the one that I have selected is the level called Dude Raiding, which of course is Astro Bot's love letter to
Oh,
Uncharted.
okay. I was about to search it, but
Which
then yeah. Fair.
yeah, which because like I can't wait actually to go back and play the Horizon level now that I've played both of the games. But obviously, when I was playing Astro Bot, the only PlayStation game that they did a level for that I had played all of them was Uncharted. God of War is on my list. I've now done Horizon, but I think that I loved Astro Bot from the second I started playing it. But when I got to that level, it took, and I think you said this well, Welchy, it took the game from like, I'm loving this to this is one of the best games I've ever played. It just raised the bar. And I mean, obviously, Andy, you played this level because when you came around mine, I
Yeah,
basically said to
yeah, I
Andy,
did.
you have to play, if you're going to play one level of Astro. Well, first I gave him the Great Master Challenge because I thought I'd be really
Yeah,
horrible and
chuck
mean.
me in at the
And
deep
that,
end. Yeah.
but then I was like, if he gets through it, I'm going to be livid. But he didn't. But then I said, go to this level, and it's just incredible. I mean, I just love the whole of the fun Easter eggs that are planted into the level. It's joyous, the shooting, sort of the mechanics like the paintballs going out, but that feels really fun. The dual sense is on point when you do that. The music is absolutely electric. I mean, I love the Uncharted theme song, but the way that Astrobot manipulates that, I mean, I've got that on my car playlist. Every time that comes on, it makes car journeys even more fun because I just remember being transported back to the fact that our other friend James had said to me that that mission was coming, so it wasn't like it was a complete surprise. But I was so surprised at just how creative, and I think Astrobot probably has some of the best uses of different variations of levels that I've ever seen in. I don't think many other video games can do that because every single level is absolutely knockout. I would say that I'm selected Uncharted because I love those games. I haven't played the others, but I imagine if I go back and play the Horizon one, I could pick that. And then when I play God of War, go back and play that. Because I will say the God of War level is equally incredible. And I think maybe if I say it was like both you guys who absolutely love it, you know, it would be preference. What do you prefer, God of War or Uncharted? And that would be the level that you would then pick. But yeah, I mean, like the sound design, the color scheme, I mean, it's faultless. There's not a single aspect of that level that I can mark down or say, oh, I didn't really like that bit. I've always said my only gripe with Astrobot was that it was just a bit more challenging than what I thought it was going to be in some of the specific levels, but not to the point that it then ruined it. It was just that general frustration of like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. And there were some aspects that got really challenging. But yeah, the Dude Radio, if you love Uncharted, I cannot recommend that enough because it is just fantastic. And it's done with real detail and thought. And yeah, just magnificent. The only word I can describe that level.
Great choice. I knew you was kind of Astro Bot. I could have come with the God of War one or any of the. I like the one where it goes down to the size of a mouse. Um,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
haven't because I knew you'd come with one. I'm also waiting for you to finish off the time trials so I can beat your times. I don't like doing it until you've done it.
I
So
That's
am
so
actually
funny.
I've paused the time trials only because I'm waiting for my Astro Bot
yeah,
controller. I know that sounds really sad. That's coming at the end of October. So what I want to do is I've done everything else on Astro Bot.
mm.
So it's like I'm gonna get the controller and I would also add please stop beating my times. It makes me really sad, but then I can't be bothered to go back and try and then beat you. Yeah.
I
It's
was,
funny that you're waiting for that just so he can see it pop up.
yeah,
It's like PlayStation like mugging you off because I
yeah,
get a notification. I might even be offline and I get it on my app going, you know, Blue Version's beating your score, and I'm like, fuck's sake.
has to be done. Um,
Has to be done.
my second game is a game called or level. It's from a game called Titanfall 2.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Ooh,
you're
probably
going
not one you
very
expected.
different.
Um,
No, definitely
no.
not.
but one of those levels when you're playing it and then when you finish it, you're like, oh holy shit, that was a fucking real amazing, didn't expect it experience. Um, I will always maintain that Titanfall 2 is one of the most underrated FPS shooters ever, particularly as a story, but also the online. They unfortunately killed that game by releasing, and it was EA as well, releasing Battlefield 1 about weeks after or before it. And COD obviously released around the time. So there's three major shooters, and obviously Titanfall 2 out of those three is going to do worse. So they killed that game, unfortunately.
Mm.
But either way, this level, if you don't know what Titanfall is, you play as a pilot. I can't remember the pilot's name, but a human pilot like us who pilots a massive Titan machine. Um, what's cool about this level is it introduces a mechanic of time travel. Just for this
Okay.
one level, from memory, I don't remember it being anywhere else. But basically, you're in this facility place, which is I remember in the present time it's like run down, and you can't get like through a certain door. But then you can use this time travel mechanic where you go back in time to this facility when it was running properly, everything was working, and then you can get through this level that way. And then you get to
Mm.
an obstacle in that part, you go back in time or back in um, to the future, and okay, sorry about that. I had to quickly cut the podcast recording and start again. But as I was saying, Titanfall 2 level, it's called Effect and Cause, if I didn't mention that already. Um, I'm going to blag on about it, so I'm just going to keep it short because we're running out of time. It's just an amazing use of time travel. It's extremely well designed level. The whole game's fantastic, by the way. The story between the pilot and the Titan is truly phenomenal, and everyone should play it. But this level in particular really stands out, and I think it's one that most people that have played it will say, yeah, this is the level of the game, which is the best one. Yeah, fantastic design and a great use of time travel, which is always an interesting one to do. A lot of games do get it right, a lot of them don't. But this one really did, and it really stands out for me in my memory.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds obviously I haven't played the stories to Titanfall games, but I did play the multiplayer, which I really enjoyed
Yeah,
using the Titans and stuff. It was really fun. I'm not sure why I didn't play the story because this is pretty the type of game that I would enjoy playing through. It's quite a simple sort of don't really have to concentrate too much. Sort of well, maybe in that particular level you probably do,
yeah.
but
It depends which one you played, because
overall,
Titanfall 1 was just multiplayer. Titanfall
I think I
2
played
had
them
the story,
both.
so
I think I played
okay.
both the multiplayers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember like wanting to play Titanfall, but it didn't have a story, and it upset me, and then I just never got round to playing the story for Titanfall 2. But I'd be confident that if I went back to play it, it'd be one that I'd enjoy.
Yeah, it is really fantastic. The whole game.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I think the multiplayer is dead. Everyone went to Apex Legends, made by the same people. Um,
Makes sense.
but
It's amazing that EA actually got something right for a change.
yeah, they really did, but they fucked up the marketing and the release. So,
Yeah, there's always a
Andy,
but with EA.
what is your final choice for your level?
Okay, so my final level is from a game that I played this year, and I just had a lot of fun playing it. Had a lot of fun playing it co-op with Welchy, and it's a game called Split Fiction.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew that Split Fiction was entering the conversation.
It's it had to. It's one of the best games that I've ever played, and I just had so much fun. Obviously, streamed it. Me and Welch played it together. There was a lot of teamwork involved in this game, and the level that I've chosen, I don't know if there's a name to it. I didn't actually get the name, but it's basically the last level, so the final boss fight, I guess, the final boss level. And what I enjoyed so much about this level because I could probably choose any level from this game and say I loved it. It was a lot of fun, but each level they kept introducing something new where you think they can't top what they've just done in the last level. And we've already spoken about this at length in previous episodes. So if you haven't heard those, then go listen to them because Split Fiction is such a fun game to talk about. But when you get to the last level, you think, no, there's no way they can do anything new now. Like they've already chucked so much new stuff at us that we haven't seen in games before. We haven't seen it on PlayStation 5. And then you get to the last level and they just take it an extra step again. And you're thinking, you just think, what the fuck? And you jump in and you're just having so much fun. The I don't want to ruin the mechanics because obviously it's still a fresh game, and I know Stephen, you want to play it and you're going to be playing it soon. And once
Yeah.
you play it, you'll understand why we shout so highly about this game and praise it every time that it comes up in conversation. And it's just the mechanics. Like I haven't seen anything like it in another game yet. And when we was playing this, I was saying like games developers have to be looking at Split Fiction and thinking how do we get this into a game that we're like currently making? Because the mechanics were just so fun, and the way that you have to work together as a team, obviously it's co-op, the way that you have to both work together to sort of get through the levels and complete the little puzzles, it's really cool. I was literally watching the last level back before the podcast, and just watching it, I was thinking, oh man, this was just so fun and crazy. And it keeps switching up as well. Even in the last level, it's still you have like a mini level, and then you sort of go into the boss fight with the main boss. You do that section, and then you go into like another mini level, and it's something new and different. And you're thinking, no, this is just never ending switch up of mechanics that we haven't seen in any games like this yet. And honestly, it's fast paced. Like you don't feel, it's never like slow at any moment. You don't feel bored. The whole game is fast paced. This whole last level is so fast paced. You don't feel like you can breathe, but that's a good thing in this game. So you're just constantly moving and moving and moving, and you're trying to sort of figure out. I don't know if the people, if the YouTube video I was watching, whether the people are just really bad or whether we actually done it quite well, Welchy, first time. Because when I was watching, and there was like sort of dying quite a lot and struggling to sort of figure out how to do the puzzles and the mechanics, where I feel like we were sort of quite on it by the time we got to the last level. From memory, I feel like we've done it
Yeah.
quite quickly and was sort of getting through the puzzles quite well together. And then watching these guys, I was like, they're either really bad or we just done extremely well and got like used to the tempo that we was working at. But yeah, it's mostly the mechanics of this game that makes it so fun. And like I say, the puzzles, the working together. I don't want to like, yeah, you need to go play it to see what the mechanics actually are.
It's a
'Cause
tough
it's
one
actually
to
a lot of
talk
fun.
about without saying what we actually want to talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
but that, yeah, it was an honorable mention for me. It was very close to being picked. One of the reasons I didn't pick it is because I thought you might. Um,
Yeah, I had to.
it's phenomenal, and it is. If we've had time this year, I do want to do like an award show, which isn't about the game of the year. It's kind of like, I don't know, best level of the year, best
Yeah.
performance of the year,
Yeah,
best music of the year, whatever. And I think that will be nominated. So
it probably will be.
it's
Yeah,
Every time you guys speak about Split Fiction, it just makes me really excited. I think me and our friend James are going to probably be playing it like early December, so it's coming. It will definitely be done before we get to Game of the Year. But from what you guys are saying, I think I'm just going to have an absolute blast with it. So glad that also it's been mentioned here.
yeah.
yeah,
I'm just waiting for another game to do it again because it's
Yeah,
like it's I don't think it's getting spoken about enough how like great what they've done in this game, like in
yeah,
terms of the mechanics. Like I was expecting to hear a lot more talk about it, especially with it being on the PS5. And I don't even use things like you because of playing multiplayer and stuff. I usually turn off my vibration and other sort of features to the controller. So I probably didn't even get the full experience of this game with those sort of benefits. So I can imagine it can be even better if you've got those turned on. But yeah, I'm surprised there's not been more talk about the mechanics in this game and companies wanting to do something similar, especially because it's rated highly, potentially in the shout for game of the year. I know there's been a lot of games there, strong games this year, but it's definitely up there. Obviously on Metacritic's high ratings. So yeah, a lot to learn from this game, I think.
I
yeah,
also think what's really heartwarming is just when you're talking about it, you can see how much you're in love with the game and how it's
Yeah,
absolutely surprised you. You knew it was going to be a good game, but it's like taking it to that whole different level. And I think that maybe other people haven't seen it in that way, which is surprising considering how well received it's been. But
yeah.
it's just
I,
lovely to see you so passionate about it.
I don't think there's like many games where you have one level, it then gets better, better, better,
Yeah.
better,
yeah,
better. Like you have games where you have good levels, but it's very consistent throughout. And then you might have one that stands out. And obviously, to me, in this one, the last one does stand out because it puts all the mechanics from the other levels into one sort of mission. But
Mm.
each level, we're thinking, oh, that level was so much fun. And then the next level was like, bloody hell, that was even
Yeah.
funner. And then even more fun each time. So yeah, it's really incredible and amazing the work that they done. Like the creativity on that game from the team is incredible.
yeah. Fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. Stephen, what is your last level you want to talk about?
Okay, so I am going to state that this is my favorite level in a video game. and I have mentioned this on the podcast before. It's a game very close to my heart. It's the game that I've always mentioned kicked off my campaign life. And yes, I am going to Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the
Oh,
movie.
God.
I I know the caveat to this is that there are a lot of better games than this. Absolutely. I'm not sitting here saying that, like, in terms of the mechanics and the game design and all of that, like, I'm taking all that away. I'm talking about, as a kid, what was the level that I played so many times, and it is this level, and it is the level called Rapids. And I was loving King Kong, like getting onto Skull Island, playing as Jack. There's a sequence where you see Kong for the first time. Anne's like tied up as you are, and he comes over this tower, grabs Anne, and takes her away. And I was just like, wow, Kong's there. And the first time you get to play as Kong is incredible. But this Rapids level, there's just something about it that I just absolutely loved. So you play as I said in King Kong, you play half the game as Jack, half the game as King Kong. Jack's the Adrian Brody character from the movie. Just if you want to remind yourself who that person is. And there's a sequence where you're on this, basically like a float going down this river. And the first sort of part of it is that you've got these triballs that you have to then light a fire on a stick, throw it, and then like there's like these group of bandits that go over a bridge. You light it on fire, the bridge then collapses. I was like, this is brilliant. And then at the end of part one, you then see the V-Rex for the very first time. And as Jack, you can't kill the V-Rex. You can injure it, but they're unstoppable. The only person that can kill the V-Rex is Com. So you then are having a mission called Rapids where you're again on these sort of mini boats. So you've got yourself and Jimmy on one boat, and then you've got Carl and Hayes on the other boat, and you just go down the rapids battling the V-Rex. So there are moments where you're shooting, there'll be openings where the V-Rex will come out. You've got to shoot it like 8 times. It will then roar at you, and then you go again. If you mistime it or you don't shoot enough, the V-Rex bites you, but that's it. Mission ends, and you have to go back to the beginning of the mission. But then you're greeted with not one but 2 V-Rexes. So there's one point where you've got 2 massive V-Rexes coming down either side. So you're having to throw sticks with fire at them. You've got to shoot them. There's a piece of music that they use, which is like a dramatic, intense score. And I loved it so much that I found it on YouTube. And then when I was doing YouTube videos, I used it as background music. It was just, I just love it. It's such a great instrumental. And then it's just intense. It's thrilling. The level ends with King Kong then coming to your rescue. So you're getting towards the bottom of the rapids. The 2 V-Rexes are either side. You're going towards this cave. And like Carl goes, oh my God, we're heading straight for him. It's going to tear us apart. And then Kong jumps down, roars at them. And then the very next mission is your first interaction as Kong fighting the 2 V-Rexes, which basically ends when you kill them. That Kong snaps the jaw, that actually rips the jaw in half. Which for a 12, I was like, now thinking about it, thinking that game was incredibly violent. But then the movie, I remember watching the movie recently thinking, this is only a 12. There are some moments on Skull Island that are like quite scary. Yeah, I love it. It is the game that I think without it, I probably wouldn't be as big of a campaign gamer as I am. I think it just opened my eyes to what video games can do. And just, it was brilliant. I think Peter Jackson said, I don't know if either of you played the game Beyond Good and Evil on like the PS2.
I know of it, but I've not played it.
I don't think I played it, no.
So he used that as inspiration. So apparently there are levels in Beyond Good and Evil where you switch between 2 different characters. And I just love the idea of battling something you can't kill. And as a kid, that was terrifying because I'm sitting there thinking, well, if I can't kill it, what am I meant to do? Yeah, just an unbelievable level and one that is very close to my heart, even though that I've played much better levels in terms of style and mechanics and all of that. But sometimes you have to just go with a throwback and one that is very nostalgic, and that's why Rapids for me is number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's your favorite levels, not the best levels.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be levels you forget about as well. I'm sure I've forgotten about loads. But no, good choice. I kind of thought you was going to come with King Kong or Sonic. It was one of the 2. That's why I put Sonic in the intro. Which means I put an intro and we've not mentioned Sonic, which is interesting. But
It was a big honorable mention for me.
So,
you got Astro Bot right though, so 1 out of 2.
Bot,
I'll take that.
Yeah. So my last game it could have been Split Fiction, it could have been many games, but I've gone with Call of Duty 4, and
Okay,
I've
I
Can I
was
just
gone
say you're
with
wondering
going
if
to
it was
go
going to make an appearance.
gone
the Gillet mission or into the Gillet? The
all gillied up.
oh, all giddied up.
Yeah, all gillied
Do you
up.
know what? It's really bad. Me and my friend Jake, we actually were speaking about this because he said that he would have that as in his like top three, all
Mm.
giddied up. I can't always remember that. I think in the quiz I put into the or whatever
Yeah,
it was that you asked
Yeah.
for that. But I knew you were going to pick as soon as you said Call of Duty. I was like, that's the mission you're going to pick, isn't it?
when I think of video game levels, it comes straight to mind.
Yeah.
That one and its subsequent level, one shot, one kill. Was it? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, one shot, one kill.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
which is the literal follow up to the end of All Giddied Up. I think there might be a level in between, but then it goes back to a one shot kill. Um, but All Giddied Up, man, it's again. There's many games around that time which made me fall in love with games such as Gears of War 1, Halo 3, and Call of Duty 4. One of my honorable mentions is Gears of War 1, but I had to pick this one because All Giddied Up is just such an incredible stealth mission. Going around in your ghillie suit, sniping people, trying to stay quiet. There's the bit where you're laying down doing like the army crawl, like on your
Yeah.
stomach, and there's tanks coming
Yeah.
past you, like literally
Yeah.
almost running over your toes, and you're just hiding in the grass waiting for it to go. And I remember thinking, "Fuck, this is so cool. This is like what it must be like in real
Yeah.
life." Not knowing if it is or not, obviously, but it's just such a cool mission, and it felt like you had to hit every shot. Like if you missed a shot, they were going to hear it and they'll be on you, and they send the dog straight to you and you fail. So it almost teaches you to be a good sniper,
Mm.
and do it stealthily. You find the right spots, you wait for the right time, because if you do it at a certain time, someone might see that person go down. It's just very well done, and it's a nice change of pace. Obviously, Call of Duty games we all know are quite
Yeah.
full on, intense, especially on the harder levels, just getting grenades thrown every fucking 2 seconds. And then All Good Up slows it down completely. It's a
Yeah.
nice, slow, stealthy mission, and ends up being the best one for me. Call of Duty 4 is a classic, a lot of great stuff in it. But that and one shot, one kill, where you then snipe. I cannot remember the guy's name, but you snipe the main guy, the main villain.
Yeah.
Is
I
it
know who
Red?
you mean. I can't
Is
remember
it
his
the
name either.
General not
Rezanov,
Reznov
something like that. Yeah, that rings a bell.
or it could, I think it's like MacLeaf. Oh, it's a guy where you shoot his arm off.
Yes, yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
those games where you literally point it at their head and his arm falls off. It's like, okay, I could literally shoot
Yeah.
anywhere and his arm's going to fall off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what games were like at the time, and that's fine. They could always argue that the wind has blown it down that way because you're sniping
Yeah.
from a distance. But then that level, you snipe and then you peg it and run, and it's almost like the opposite,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you've done all the stealth and now they're after you.
Yeah.
You've
No,
got to
you need to
run,
get out there.
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
you end up under there's like a Ferris wheel part where you're waiting there for
Yes.
the pickup, which was incredibly difficult. And I keep calling it insane. That's Gears of War veteran, I should say.
Isn't that when the nuke then hits?
No, nuke
As you get-
is
Or is that I'm thinking am I too far ahead?
yeah. It's either before or after. I can't remember, but it's not that.
Because there's like I think you're in like a park, aren't you? And you get escorted, and then the nuke hits as you're being escorted away on the
You're in a
plane.
helicopter, yeah. You're in a helicopter
Yeah,
as you're
that's
going
it.
away. That's also another great ending to a level, but I couldn't actually tell you what happened in the level right off the top of my head right now for that.
No,
level.
I said that first bit. I also remember with all giddied up while you were talking about it, those dogs freaked me right out because they were so brutal if you got caught.
Yeah.
And that tank bit, I remember if you were just slightly out, you got caught
Yeah, you
and
would
it would
get hit, yeah.
shit you up because you just wouldn't expect it in any sort of capacity. I think I mean I love the COD 4 campaign, but because I came onto it sort of late, so I played COD 4 Modern Warfare 2 pretty much back to back. And at that point, because it was a little bit later down the line, we had started to see the influence of that. I wish that I was around in like 2007 to play it because I think I would have had an even better experience.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was kind of not used to it in a way, but I'd seen that in other sort of video games, where people say that is the mission that basically kicks off the stealth. Modern day stealth in video games. There's so much influence behind all giddied
In
up.
first person shooters, there's
yeah.
obviously other stealth games like Deus Ex and stuff beforehand. But,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And Call of Duty have had a lot of great missions down the line. You've got the recent Modern Warfare reboot. where you infiltrate the house, and then you've got the one where
I
you
had
play
that
as
as my honorable
the
mention.
the one
Yeah,
where you play as the kids um, in the house, and there's that man looking for you, which was creepy as shit. Um, a lot of good stuff, but that one still sticks out to me. And another honorable mention
yeah.
for me would have been the one that Andy reminded me of when he was talking about your first one, which I've forgotten already.
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts is Black Ops 6, the horror level. That
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one is,
Yeah, that I did think
it's
about that when I was writing down my levels.
yeah.
I also had in my mind like the No Rush mission from Modern Warfare 2, just because of
Yeah,
how that's so controversial. I know technically you can skip it, but just because it's so unlike anything Call of Duty where you're actually shooting innocent people, and I generally felt like really, really guilty as a child doing that, depending on what mood I was in. If I had a bad day at school, I would then come home and then No Russia would be how I would unleash my anger, because it would just be
It's the
anyone that you
start of
imagine has
a,
upset
it's
you
the
during the
start of
day. Yeah.
a documentary, isn't it?
Well, now
yeah,
you say that, that
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
very, very bad. I also remember there was a mission in the 2011 Modern Warfare 3 version where you're in London and you start on the train, jumping from one train platform to another,
Mm.
and you come out and you got Big Ben to your right. And I remember, because I'm like a landmark nerd, going, I've been there, or I've walked down that street. And then, because I remember Modern Warfare 3, like it took you to New York, which
Paris.
I'm obsessed with New York, Paris,
Mm.
Germany, London, and I was just like, this is absolutely insane. I think every Call of Duty has got one mission at least, which still stays in my memory. And even in like things like Vanguard and Advanced Warfare, which may not be as good of campaigns as like the other Call of Duty titles that we've mentioned, there's still one specific moment in each game that stands out. It's almost like they always have their standout levels, which is always good.
We've got about 2 to 3 minutes to chuck out any other honorable mentions. Andy, you got any others on your list?
No, I
If we
just
just
wrote
mentioned them
down
all, yeah.
my main three ones. Like, yeah, all the COD levels that we just mentioned would have been honorable mentions for me. There's probably a couple of levels from Uncharted 2 and 3 that probably get in there.
It's one of
Even
mine.
the intro to Uncharted 4. Um, so yeah, there's obviously a lot of great games out there. Obviously, Gears of War with a particular scene where a character dies, that sort of level. Yeah, there's too many. We could do this episode so many times, it'll be a different three favorite levels each time.
Yeah.
That's how many great games there are.
Yeah.
The other difficulty is defining a level, because
Yeah,
I mentioned to you beforehand, Andy, games like God of War and The Last of Us, I struggle to pick or define what a level is.
Yeah.
There are some in The Last of Us which you could say, for example, the winter
Uh,
section.
I would, yeah, I was going to say the big moment at the beginning of the game, that
Oh yeah,
the
the first,
sequence in the
yeah,
house, you
yeah,
could argue is a
an
level.
introduction level. But yeah,
Um,
otherwise it's a lot of just continuous story. And the same with
yeah,
God of War. Obviously
yeah,
you got certain
it's
boss
difficult.
fights, but they're not really levels.
mm.
So difficult. But Stephen, what else have you got?
So I mean, I could give you so many, but just to rattle off a couple really quickly. I hand obviously, which we spoke about before, the Scarecrow sequence from Batman Arkham Asylum, which I think is incredible. The big ending from Grand Theft Auto 5, and also, and this is a bit of a guilty pleasure, the Fame or Shame mission in Grand Theft Auto 5. I just remember laughing my absolute arse off when Michael, you got to save his daughter from going on Fame or Shame with the really
Yeah,
Oh
annoying
yeah,
I
host.
yeah, yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just because of loving like talent shows and all of that. Just it made me laugh, and I thought it was done really, really well. Other ones like the opening sequence to Battlefield 4, the first mission, which is just absolutely chaotic. Um, like the final racing, which I count as a mission in the original Forza Horizon because of just what it takes you to in its end. But to be honest, I could give you 20 more, so I'm not, because we've already got a couple of minutes. But a lot of the campaigns that I've done, there's a lot of like standout levels that I'm now thinking consciously about. So we would have to do a bigger podcast, I think,
Yeah.
you actually, about all of the ones that we've played.
It's gonna be one of those episodes where tomorrow I wake up and go, "Oh shit, I forgot that one."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I did that with the boss fights. But I've
yeah,
mentioned, I've honorable mentions Uncharted 2, like Andy just pointed
yeah,
out,
yeah.
and it is the train, both the
yeah.
intro and
That's the
then
main
the
one.
actual train
Yeah,
part when you go back to it.
Y- Yeah.
And Gears of War, and it's from each of the first three games. I've got one for each. Gears of War 1, when you first meet the Berserker, that part of that level, I love that
Oh,
level, and it's it's a
Yeah.
core memory for me in my life, unfortunately. Gears 2, when Dom meets Maria. No more needs to be said about that. Which isn't a level as such. It's more of a moment, I guess. But that whole underground level is great.
Yeah.
And then Gears 3, the level you mentioned, Andy. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
the one. Unfortunately, as much as I do enjoy Gears 4 and Gears 5, they don't have the same iconic level that I can think of right now. And I think, yeah, that's it. And then as I said, Black Ops 6
Yeah.
is another new one after
Oh.
Andy reminded me of it.
I do have one last one that I will be really annoyed if I wake up tomorrow and then haven't said it. The first mission in Rise of the Tomb Raider in snow, because that's an outstanding opening level where
I played
you're
that. I can't
as
recall it right
Lara.
now, but
It's the one where like it's the
climbing the
first time I've
mountain.
seen footprints in snow. Yeah, climbing up the mountain with a pickaxe, and then you've got those bandits that you have to kill, and it's just because it's completely different from the original Tomb Raider. I would also say like the sequence on the boat at the beginning of the opening missions to all of the modern Tomb Raider games are the ones that stick in my
Yeah.
mind because of just the level of detail. But again,
Maybe that's another topic. Best opening scenes to a game.
Uncharted
yeah,
2
that's a
wins.
good one.
It's done.
Oh,
Or
it'd
maybe
be difficult to
Expedition
top that.
33, who knows. But yeah, that has been our favorite levels in video games. If you've been listening or watching and have some that you want to chuck in, please do message us on Discord or on the YouTube or Spotify comments or on social media, and we'll read them out in a later episode. For now, Andy, where can people follow you?
So you find me over on Twitch at Andy_White_07, and also over on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at AB Collectibles or AB Collectibles24. Thank you very much.
And Stephen, where can people follow you?
Yeah, just on my TikTok at DJ Pagpus and on my YouTube channel of the same name as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for listening or watching the Late Night Gamer podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a follow, leave a rating, and tell a friend about us. You can follow us on all social medias with the handle at the LNG Pod. Next week, we are back with our Ghost of Yote early review. Obviously, on Friday, we have our EAFC and what we've been playing episode, but on next week's main episode, which will be on a Tuesday next week, we're swapping the gaming and movie podcast around for a special movie podcast next week. But the gaming one, Ghost of Yote early review, will be out on Tuesday, so look forward to that. Until then, I have been your host, Welchy, and my guests have been Andy.
Yeah, thank you as always, guys. It's been fun talking about our favourite levels, and hopefully there'll be part 2.
And Stephen.
Yeah, been a pleasure as always. Always find these ones really nostalgic and looking forward to the next one.
Thank you all for listening and keep on gaming.